I started the workout off with the heavy pull-ups, and I was noticing already that I am not able to pull as much weight as I could before this piriformis hip discomfort started plaguing me more. And it sounds weird, but I am finding it difficult at the moment to heavily brace while my feet are not on the ground. On the previous day was the reason why I could not do dips, and I resorted to doing the incline presses, even though sitting was also causing me a bit of discomfort, but not as much as bracing with my legs dangling down, even though I am tensing the full body for those repetitions. But yeah, the pull-ups were feeling like I could pull at most 20 kilos for about 5 reps. So I stayed at 4 for a couple of sets, and I'm just waiting for better days. In the meantime, I'm doing the usual work for the hips. It's mainly, I think, stretching, like lightly stretching, kind of easing into these positions and kind of teaching the body that it's okay to be there. In terms of the hip work that I was doing in between these sets, as kind of a superset to the pull-ups, I was doing some cable knee drives. And these are mainly to try and develop some strength and explosiveness in the driving phase of my sprinting training. In here, I was mostly standing vertical, which I don't think it's very good or very specific to the task at hand. I should try and find a wall that I could kind of lean against and put my body in a straight position at about 45, 50 degree angle, and then start engaging in these knee drives. What I should also be doing is pairing these with some work that targets specifically the other part of the driving motion. So the first one is to pull my knee up, and the other one is to strike it down onto the floor to be able to work the full range of motion of what the broken down sprinting mechanic should look like. And if I work them together, I start thinking about doing those things one after each other, and it might help in the long run in trying to ingrain better technique in the way that I sprint. Then I was moving over to the Nordic curls, and in here I was doing 2 sets, and I tried something slightly different. I tried to increase the reps as the sets go by. What I usually do is a couple of warm-up sets where I keep my hips bent, and decreasing the tension allows me to get more repetitions in and really get a bit of a pump in the hamstrings, which is what I'm trying to achieve in order to avoid straining them if I go for repetitions that are close to failure. So what I was doing this time, I was doing the usual warm-up sets, and then the first set I did 4 reps, and that kind of counted as a working set warm-up hybrid, where I was doing the normal exercise, but I was staying a bit farther from failure with the intent of trying and getting into that zone where I am able to then do 1 set kind of all out, or at least 0 reps in reserve, or maybe 1 rep in reserve. So this is the one. I did 1 more rep, and I was trying to really keep my hips engaged but not bent, or at least not bend too much. I have found somewhat impossible to have my hips completely straight, because then it kind of disengages the hamstring, which crosses both the knee and the hip. So if the hip is fully extended, there is no tension in the hamstring. That's what I feel. This was the last rep, and I feel like I was doing a good job at not really allowing my hips to take over and make the exercise easier. And in between, I was doing the usual hammer curls to keep the elbows up. In here, 16 kilos, I am moving slowly towards, I think maybe 15 reps per set before going up in weight. These are gonna take a while, because when I moved over to 16 kilos, I think it was almost a month ago now, so I had a bunch of sessions, and in between the time that I was away, where I was barely adding 1 rep per set. So it's gonna be a slow progress, but I don't really mind. Ciao.